Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Blue Jays Today, where we always have somebody to say with the Toronto Blue Jays, coming to you from the Sports Interaction Studio. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlog.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we have some scary Bo Bichette updates. We were here on Blue Jays Today thinking there's no way Blue Jays don't start Bo Bichette in Game 1 of the ALDS. Now, it's looking like we could be waiting a lot longer, guys. Before we get into the updates, please make sure to hit that like button and smash that subscribe button. We have a couple updates here for y'all. Let's start with the one from Buster Olney, who gets into it right away about Bo Bichette. He said, quote, on TSN radio, "The Blue Jays have really kept the medical stuff locked down. I don't think he's going to play in the ALDS. It's unlikely we're going to see him this weekend." And then he goes on to say he's going to give it a go this week to see how he feels. So he's not completely ruled out. But he goes on to say, I think it's more likely that the Jays, if the Jays advance, we'll see him in the ALCS. I mean, I'd hope to see him in the ALCS because that would be a week and a half at this point. First reactions to hearing what Buster Olney has said about maybe not seeing Bo Bichette in a critical 5-game series.
First reactions is, dude, like we gotta learn how to slide. You know, we gotta work on that.
You know,
because
how many times people have talked to me, you know, in between now and that Bo Bichette injury, like, man, I don't understand why he.
I don't know what he was doing. That was a wild one. Either way, I mean, the team, and now us as a fan base are kind of paying the price for what that situation was, and it is a shitty one. Let's face it. Right, Bo Bichette is a catalyst in this lineup, going up against either one of Boston, I guess, who does have a 1-game lead right now over New York, or New York. Like, they both have pretty elite starting pitching staffs. You could say something about the New York Yankees bullpen, but at the very least, they definitely have some elite starters, and having Bo Bichette in that lineup would be huge for us. Not having him in that lineup, also going to be huge for the Toronto Blue Jays, losing out on what was the league leader in hits for a long period of time, finishing second to Bobby Witt Jr., losing out on an 840 OPS guy, and then looking at what the Toronto Blue Jays offense did look like without Bo Bichette. It wasn't great, man.
It wasn't, man. Ever since the injury on September 7th, the day after the injury, the Blue Jays have been one of the worst teams in all of baseball in terms of OPS in all offensive categories. Their OPS was ranked 19th in baseball with a 673 OPS. You can go down the list, slugging, on base, and average, all in the bottom top 20, I guess you could say, those high teens in all those offensive categories. Now, obviously, that's not because of Bo Bichette. Everybody went ice cold, but you can see how if, you know, we get to an ALDS and we're up against great competition and great pitching, losing a guy like Bo Bichette, who has been so consistent all year long, especially with the runners in scoring position, could be a major disadvantage for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, of course, 100% it could. Now, this to me means that, like, if he's not playing, and I said this on the Blue Jays Today show, like, he's got to be just incapable of completing basic baseball tasks, like running, like playing defense, like doing any of that, because I just don't see a reality where John Schneider and Bo and, you know, like everybody that's in charge of making this decision would choose to keep him out of the lineup if he was even 75% ready to go. You know, like if he's 75% ready to go, you slot him in at the DH spot and you just hope for the best and cross your fingers that he can get a hold of one, because he is Bo Bichette. But I guess that's just not the case right now, or else they would be forcing him into that lineup.
Yeah, because here's the thing too, like, you could be getting him in the DH spot. Some people might be saying that in the comments, I'll just DH him. But the thing is, it's a knee injury, and, you know, hitting, you can kind of get away with a bit of a knee trouble. Like, yes, you have to shift your weight a little bit off those knees. That might feel some tension. But the biggest thing for me is, I mean, we're talking about sliding, running, stopping. Those are things you have to do around the base pass. And when you're a hitter, you can't just have Bo Bichette. Yes, he's going to get on base, but he might clog up the bases. Maybe he comes in some sort of pinch hitting situation if he is on the ALDS roster. But the thing is, he's not ready to play baseball. He's not doing a hell of a lot of activities. Right now, he's just starting some running just recently this past week. This is according to Ben Nicholson-Smith. And he's only hitting off a tee and taking flips. So taking flips is just, you're on your knees, people are flipping you the ball, you're just doing backhand picks, forehand picks off the ground, nothing with his feet being mobile right now. And then heading off tee, he's obviously not facing a lot of velocity. So he's just doing basic baseball activity, nothing ramping up to speed, which leads us to now, well, we're going into an ALDS. There's no Bo Bichette. who the hell's going to replace him?
Right.
Who the hell needs to step up?
Yeah, well, I guess the biggest question is, like, how are you feeling right now about this Toronto Blue Jays team without Bo? Arguably, I mean, you can make a strong argument that he was probably the second best baseball player on our team all season long,
Absolutely.
right? It goes George Springer and then Bo Bichette right behind him. How are you feeling looking over at that Yankees pitching staff, looking over at the Boston Red Sox, about the Toronto Blue Jays' chances taking on them without one of those key players?
See, with the Boston Red Sox, we faced them this last week at Rogers Center, and this is when the Blue Jays were struggling, mind you, before they got on that big 4-game hot streak. They didn't look very good offensively against Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet also just pitched the game.
Wow, he
dominated.
He embarrassed the New York Yankees.
He embarrassed the Yankees. So if we're up against Boston, I'll say this time and time again, I'm going to be more nervous than facing the Yankees because they've got that ace, and they've also got Aroldis Chapman that, yes, he did look a little shaky in that 9th inning, but he bared down and locked down that 9th inning for the win. Whereas the Yankees, their bullpen came through, right? I mean, Fried had a good outing, a great outing, actually, but the Blue Jays, all the Blue Jay hitters have gotten to Fried and seen him a lot this year, so I don't feel as stressed about that, but they got to that bullpen, right? So I feel like the other elements of your lineup can make up for Bo Bichette, but like against that Boston Red Sox without Bo Bichette, recency bias is creeping in.
Right.
I don't feel as confident.
That's true. I mean, like, we saw all those guys, you know, without Bo Bichette in the lineup take on the Boston Red Sox, and they did beat us at home, right? They took the first 2 games off of us. You take that, you put that into an ALDS. Well, now we're taking a trip over to Boston. We're down 0-2. And, you know, like, that's not where I would want to be in an ALDS season.
If it would have played out the same
exactly.
way.
If it plays out the same way, right? You know, fingers crossed that's not what transpires. But I would imagine that if you're Boston right now, you're planning to have Garrett Crochet go on that Saturday if you're, you know, if you do end up progressing and beating the Yankees. And that's, again, not a spot where I feel extremely confident with this Toronto Blue Jays lineup. I think I would be feeling significantly more confident if we had our $500 million man doing what it is that he is supposed to be doing. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. just so happened to get ice cold at the worst possible moment. And when we say ice cold, sometimes we exaggerate. Sometimes it's like, oh, he's got a 600 OPS. Like, that's ice cold. And that would be ice cold for Vladdy. But no, this is like fucking like iceberg, Titanic sinking levels of ice cold. He's batting 164 over the last 2 weeks. OPS of 375.
Gross.
That OPS is lower than the batting average that Bo Bichette had with runners in scoring position.
I know.
So just take that in, you know what I mean? So Vladdy is obviously needs to get cooking if we're going to be, you know, in an ALDS without Bo Bichette. I don't think that this is a full-on sky is falling, we're automatically going to lose. Like, we saw this offense, this team go on that 4-game win streak and clutch it up when they had to do so. When the Yankees were right on their tails, they decided it's like, okay, now we're going to start playing baseball. So I do still think that we have a very fair shot to win this thing, but obviously I'd be feeling, you know, 2-3 times better if Bo was in that lineup.
100%. And like, yeah, to your point, Vladdy needs to step it up. I mean, he's only had 1 extra base hit in the 14 days. That's just not going to cut it. But for me, like, at this point, if Vladdy's going to keep being this cold, and I've seen this story time and time again, Vladdy, and I love Vladdy. You always know I defend Vladdy.
Yeah, you're a Vladdy guy.
I'm the Vladdy guy. But if he's struggling right now, and I've seen him get ice cold under the lights, if he's going to keep being ice cold under the lights, what I need to bank on is everybody else in that lineup. Obviously, George Springer, has been doing it all season long. We looked at Alex Bregman yesterday, getting, I believe he had 2 extra base hits. Houston Astro, been there, done that. Same with George Springer. We need him to be our version of Alex, or their version of Alex Bregman in our lineup, where he can show up in the brightest moments. Then I need the rest of the lineup. I need Ernie Clement to step up and keep doing what he's been doing all year long. Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk, Addison Barjo. It's your first playoff, my man. Let's see what you got. Nathan Lucas, these older kind of guys that have been around, not Barger, older guys who have been around and have seen things before, been in the brighter moments, have been getting hot throughout the entire season, have been supporting this team when the stars haven't been that great. I need to see those guys attack the Crochets or the Max Frieds of the world if we want a chance to get through this ALDS and get to the ALCS.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think another thing that will go a long way right here, just kind of like, you know, tipping the scales in the Toronto Blue Jays' favor, because like this Bo Bichette injury, obviously, like that lowers the win probability margins quite a bit. One of the big things was, well, we get these days off, we get to be healthy, we get to rest all our pitchers. Boston pitched 2 guys yesterday. Boston pitched
That's
two guys.
scary.
It was Garrett Crochet, it was Aroldis Chapman. That was it. We need this series to go to a game 3. We need this series to go to a game 3 because if they were to win it tonight, let's
They can
just
rest
say
as well.
they can rest everyone that they need. And now it feels like, well, what would, they basically, not that they got the bye because they obviously had to play 2 games, but like they're going to be just as rested as we are and arguably also with a bit more momentum in their rhythm. So that is something that I don't want to see. I am a Yankee fan through and through tonight. I want this Yankees in 18 innings with serious emotional damage to both sides. No one can recover. We're all losing it. Goes to a game 3. Position players are pitching. That's where the Toronto Blue Jays can step in and dominate.
That would be crazy, guys. So let us know your thoughts in the comments down below about this Bo Bichette injury. How concerned are you that we're not going to see Bo Bichette in a critical 5-game series? Look, for me, guys, if I'm going to rate it out of 10, 10 being like the sky is falling and 1 being not at all, I'm about a solid 6.
I'm in the middle for sure.
I believe in this Blue Jays lineup, but obviously missing one of your best bats is huge.
And also, when we were talking about how important it was to get the ALDS, I always had in my mind, it was, well, Bo Bichette would be there. We wouldn't have him in the wild card. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But guys, please make sure to hit that like, smash that subscribe button. $4 a month become a YouTube member. And thank you to all of our current YouTube members. You guys are amazing.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always, go Jays, go!